Let's see, and we have M.Bison from the Street Fighter DLC being used by Sam. So, 6 hand size character, 27 health, and has a response after you fail a check, ready this character, or remove the top card of your opponent's discard pile. Playable while committed. The second, and then the actual enhance is your attack on a 6 check, your opponent loses 1 vitality. This will be very interesting. This is actually going to be very interesting to see how this one plays out. So, as I say, we've kind of got like a character who, in the form of Inferno, is going to be pretty aggressive. And boom, we're getting a follower, Aaron Gaming. Thank you very much, Aaron. So, here we go. So this will be interesting. As I say, so we've got a newer character in the form of M.Bison. We've definitely, at least up here, not seen a lot of play. Sam is going first. So it's something we've not seen a lot of play of yet, not even on TTS as much. I think other people have been more enamoured by the other characters and stuff like that, where he's a wee bit kind of offset now. But it doesn't mean he's bad. It just means people haven't had time to play him yet. Unlike things like Inferno, which we have definitely seen a fair whack of, simply down to the fact that the dude is pretty disgusting. Obviously losing things like Shadow Slicer and stuff like that we've played in these kind of decks, that card's now well gone. I'm going to assume Adam's not got that in his deck still, but well, only time will tell. I'm pretty sure we got him to fix all his decks. So, that's of interest. So, Sam is mulligan his opening hand. So, it'll be very interesting. As I say, seeing how this M.Bison is going to play out is going to be really interesting. Simply down to the fact that, as I say, I've not seen a lot of them being played yet. So it'll be interesting just to see what symbol he's picking off of. If anyone in the chat thinks they might have a good idea for symbol choices. And then at the same time as well, just kind of what attack package would you be running? What strategy? I have had an attempt at looking at them once. And started building and ended up switching the character. My second attempt I've not really got into yet. But it'd be interesting to see if people have got deck lists and stuff for this character to give me a bit of a kind of easier start. I feel as if he's like quite an odd character, so I've not really had a good chance at looking at him yet. But here we go, Sam definitely has the right mind for characters like this though, so this will be very good. So here we go. So I think they're going to set vitalities, and here we go. So let's see what's the opening cards. So yeah, 27 to 35, so I mean, here we go. So he is starting with a securing his destiny. So after a point plays a non-keyword ability cancels its effect. Okay. Right, here we go. Let's see how this goes out. So, here we go. I think Sam is also new to TTS a wee bit as well. So, bear with us as they're getting controls done. Also, again, for audio issues, they probably will only hear it from the left. This mic is a finally kick in the bucket. We do have a new mic in the form of the Blue Yeti X coming this time Wednesday. So hopefully that arrives soon, and then audio will be back to scratch again for normal stuff. So again, so he goes in for a securing his destiny, into a recovering lost treasure, then into a murderous addiction. So let's see, so probably playing off a death. So here we go. Let's see how this goes. Well, we are also here. I'm going to fire over something just to double check. Yeah, that's one. There we go. Double check all the audio stuff is also good on this side. Cool. So here we go. So Adam goes in for a Guardian Spirit Sword, into a Hellfire of Despair, an Azure Nightmare, and then an Aggressive Temper. Alright, okay. Yeah, so kind of all the kind of cards I think it's one of those kind of cool things. It's all the kind of cards you expect to see in an Inferno deck. For sure. Going off of fire. Probably. Fire or earth? Probably fire for sure. So here we go, let's see what's going to happen here. So drawing back up to hand size. M.Bison will get readied up. Here we go. Right, let's see. Actually, right, okay, yeah. So potentially going to just hard play out a Bison. Go for the stack. So here we go. So the Bison is cool. So let's see this. So obviously this Bison has got a response commit, Lose 2 vitality. After your opponent plays an ability on a non-character card in their staging area, you cancel its effect and destroy it. If your opponent completely blocks your attack, they lose 1 vitality. Your next charge, fury, or kick attack is plus 2 damage. Right, cool. Cool. So, at the end of the day, starting... yeah, I mean, I guess you could start with either, but it's probably game plan is more likely to wanting the actual new M.Bison being the one to start with. So here we go. Obviously checks a 5, commits obviously the recovering the lost treasure to pass. But that's now a stack happening, so that's pretty awesome. That's quite decent. Going in for a serve in the Outworld. So this is going to be really cool as well, because this is going to be a lot of 100% like trying to figure out this deck as it gets played, because I'm going to be super interested in trying something like this out. So here we go. Gets a serve in the Outworld, obviously on a 3, checks a 2, commits M.Bison for it. Yeah, because Chaos Scissors is a 2 check, brutal. So a new shipmate on a 2, 3, 4, checks an R3. That's rough. That is rough. Is that the one you let go? Because at this point you've got a remove that's going to that's a tough one. That is a tough one. I mean, I guess you could commit the Murderous Addiction, since it's most of it's playable or committed. Is it both playable? No, just the first bit. So actually quite interested to see how this works out, actually. Yes, it does commit for it, obviously. Yeah, probably the better play. At the end of the day, having something that's actually going to be able to still be usable at some rate, and you're still bringing down 2 foundations. So he has now obviously stacked the M.Bison. That's the cool part. Adam drawing back up to his hand size of 5. Goes in for a Folktale Storyteller. He's then going to do the response on it. Discard top 3. If he has 2 or more, he's going to bring it down. 2 more foundations, that is. And he's staging now, which he does. So he brings it down. Now, here we go. So the first of the attacks we're seeing is a Vicious Madness. Desperation 4 throw. Lose 2 vitality. Can't be partially blocked. 4 mid for 8. As a throw, I mean, it's just one of those kind of attacks you're definitely going to see in a vicious deck and an Inferno deck. So here we go. So again, this is just easy ways of chipping through the damage. At the end of the day, he's going to be able to obviously discard the top 3. So as I say, he discards the top 3, removes 1 card from his discard pile, and it's going to get a damage bonus equal to the printed control of the removed card. So removes obviously Born from Destruction, and obviously has a control check of 5 and gets that extra damage. So here we go. So interestingly enough, so now it's like what, 4 mid for 13. So he goes to pass the check, obviously because that's just the cost. Checks a 5. Then he fails it. So I think that actually should be readied up. It's just a bit of TTS jank. So here we go. That or it's just happened on our screen. Sometimes that also happens. So here we go. So interestingly enough, so I mean it's still quite a heavy amount of damage. Obviously, sort of blockable in the sense that so he didn't lose the life, or did he lose the life? So it can't be partially blocked. So he goes and uses these. Yes, he did do. He's lose 2. That's fine. So he blocks with obviously the M.Bison for the easy check. Still is going to take some damage. Yeah, it takes like 6 damage. Then here comes a missile launcher. Oh, maybe not. Oh, double guessing. No, there is a haha. Righty-o, it wasn't safe. So we've got a reversal. Dispelling Horn coming in on a 5. Checks it all well and good. So Dispelling Horn, for those watching, is if you have more characters than your opponent, it gets plus 4 speed. The damage of this attack can't be reduced below printed. Deadlock E is add your hand to your momentum, then draw back up to your printed hand size. So probably won't see if what else he can really do, but he's definitely going to get that speed. So pretty easy stuff there. Obviously Adam has a little bit of speed negation. I don't know, is this a weapon? No, it's not a weapon, so it'll only get -2 if he does decide to use it. So, couple of options. Obviously the damage can't be impaired, so let's see. This will be interesting. I think Adam might just take the hit though, potentially. So he does go for the discard 3. That's doing it on the enhance from Inferno. So here we go. So yeah, pretty just filling up that discard pile, getting as many attacks as possible as he can into it, so that he can fully utilise that first form on Inferno. So here we go. Sam is pointing over to something. So I'm assuming he's going to do the 6 check for Adam to lose a vitality. That said, if he fails, and after he fails, you ready it up or remove the top card of your opponent's discard pile. Playable committed. Yeah. So does just remove a card, which is fair enough. I mean, that's also what I was quite interested to find out. If there's going to be, I wonder if he's like, could he be the consistent potential mill character kind of thing? Like, could you like loop fatalities and stuff with this guy? I'd be quite interested to see stuff like that. Can you loop that sort of stuff well enough? Is the symbols appropriate? But we'll see. Either way, though, this attack is still obviously like 8 speed for 4. Don't know if there's much else he can do. I mean, he does have a couple of checks he can make and give it extra damage and stuff, because it just can't be lower than 4. So, from its own static, or from that effect, sorry, damage this attack can't be reduced below printed. So, he can still boost it a bit. He can still do some stuff. He can still make this a hit for a wee bit extra. Because he definitely has some stuff, obviously. I think Secure Destiny is just a cancel, but as I say, there's a couple of checks and stuff like that, so he's got some options. So it'll be very interesting. Let's see how this all plays out. Even if he just takes... Because even... so Adam takes the hit. And I believe the gauge also just triggered. Yeah, so there's another M.Bison. So the real question is, I'm wondering now, I'm trying to remember what some of the other attacks in his deck do, where I'm wondering how much you gauge. So this will be quite interesting. So yeah, just create a wee pile. I quite like when people do that at the front though. That's the way I would do it, at least. Actually, I've noticed that with a few games with people gauging, where they put them to like different sides and above them and stuff. I like it just right next to it. I don't like when it's on top of it, because you forget effects. But Adam is continuing his onslaught of attacks so far, and he checks a 2 on the missile launcher when needing a 6, meaning he will have to commit 4 or let it fail, which he does, lets it fail. Yeah, that's a kind of rough one. That's pretty rough, because you can't really afford to allow that kind of like committing 4 things there. Yeah, that would pretty much shutting down any defense he'd have. So here we go. So yeah, Sam does generate momentum from his Dispelling Horn, and his M.Bison's going to get discarded, as that was a block. So here we go. But again, it goes to Sam's turn now, so this is really where Sam can start to utilise some stuff. Especially in the form of his actual M.Bison's response. Failing a check and removing the top card of the opponent's discard pile. He could definitely hit a couple extra attacks for sure if Adam doesn't have a couple of checks in the way. Like, and at the end of the day, it's literally after you fail a check. So I mean, this will be interesting to see how it plays out if he goes quite deep into the pool with some foundations. Obviously, he's built an Archon Nirvana, so we can more than likely assume maybe an attack might come up, but more than likely it's going to be a couple of defensive pieces more than likely getting put out here. Here's a Sing for me. E-commit, discardable momentum, gain 2 vitality and draw a card. And then going in for a debt to be paid. Not seen this in a while. This one is Enhanced Flip. If you have lost vitality this turn, your opponent's next check to play a card gets -1. Also playable while committed. So actually a really decent build of defensive pieces here. So at the end of the day, things like Archon Nirvana, yeah, again, that card just absolutely oozes value at the end of the day, as when it comes down to assets. That probably is one of the highest highest, in my view, assets that should be played on symbols. So Adam is hitting the first form. He removes his hand from the game, and Sam is going to give Adam 5 attacks from the discard pile. So here we go. So this will be interesting to see what he gets. So obviously, as I say, the fairness of this card really is the fact that your opponent adds the 5 cards, the 5 attack cards from your discard pile to your hand, but that gives them so much knowledge. At the end of the day, it allows them to plan. So Sam has 3 cards in hand. He can probably balance out 3 cards potentially. If they've got blocks, that is, he can potentially balance out. So it looks as if he's given them. And the thing is as well, like, there might only been 5 attacks in the discard pile. That's one of the kind of things you got to play out. High chances is those 2 missile launchers and those 3 vicious madness genuinely might have been what was in that discard pile. So that in itself is pretty rough. Where like if you play it right as Inferno, it's like, yeah, once you've got those exact 5, it just locks your opponent into being like, well, that's the attacks I've got to give. So he does start with the missile launcher. So this missile launcher is going to do a hell of a lot of work right now, in the form of that stun 2 is going to be pretty useful. Sam doesn't really have much in the way of defense against things like stun. So that's going to be rough in its own right. On top of that, I'm just trying to see if there's anything directly. Nah, I don't really think there's much directly that Adam can do other than basically doing the attack. The attack's abilities plus Inferno is pretty much what you're going to see here. So here we go. Obviously, Archon Nirvana has the ability to cancel a keyword, which obviously is a stun. Now we know Adam has a second one coming in, but that's straight away the first kind of thing. You curb that one stun, wait for the next one to come in, and you've mitigated now that kind of lethalness of this one itself. So he has no momentum. That's what they're pointing at. So let's see what else. He has got the discard the top 4, plus 4 speed or plus 4 damage. Deadlock E not applicable right now. So here we go. So it really comes down to what else Adam can do with this one, I think. Oh, I think Sam is going to seal Inferno, lads. Right? This is definitely okay. So does obviously get rid of one of the cards, but sealing Inferno is pretty, yeah. That could definitely save Sam in this case. So at the end of the day, this is still going to do 6 damage potentially, unless he blocks it, in which case I think if he's got a block for it, it'll be really effective in shutting down this turn. As at this point, Adam really kind of has to play into it as well. So he is discarding the top 4 for missile launcher for either speed or damage. More than likely, it's going to be damage. So they're reading as well. Alright, aggressive temper was in that bit, so it's when it's added in. We can read this one. After it's added to discard pile, during the enhanced step, it gets plus 2 damage. So it's pretty decent. Gets 2 damage, and I think he's going for the speed. Yeah, he's went for the speed. That said, I don't think Sam directly had a thing for that one. Nah, just checking as well, as much as Sam's also checking. Yeah, so not a lot in it. But at the same time, plays a non-keyword ability on an attack. That could have potentially... So the thing is, he could probably take this hit. That's one of the kind of weird things, like, in that way. He could possibly have afforded to take that hit. He is going to serve in the Outworld and get that -1 damage. Which obviously, that's okay, fair enough, because you can still ready him up. It's not a real issue. And he's going to just hit the damage on this one. So here we go. So he goes for -2 damage, and then he gains a vitality, puts him to 21. Right, okay, so some easy defos plays here happening. Let's see what else he could do. He could still discard the momentum to draw and gain 2, but that would require to commit. Bit rough in this scenario, as you know, it's just an attack turn coming in, so the options are kinda there, kinda not there. It's quite rough, actually. It's quite rough. I'd probably leave Sing for me for a bit. I don't think he needs to just yet. At the end of the day, this thing's going to hit for 5, put him down to 16. We still know he's got like 3 8 damage attacks and a 6 damage. So he does take the hit going down to 16. And then Adam's coming in with the second missile launcher on a 6 this time. And does check a 5. And commits for it, obviously commits an Azure Nightmare. Pretty much the only thing... yeah, I mean, pretty much. Fair enough. I mean, if he really needs to discard one of those attacks, kind of thing, to ready it up. But there is a couple options as well, like... yeah, if it was discarding stuff. But it'll be interesting. Let's see how this goes. This is just a matter of can Adam wheel through some hits. So he is going for the discard 4, and that's still be doing either speed or damage. I think he's going for the speed. Again, this could be removed, so I think he's looking at it now. Yeah, Securely's Destiny can be used, for instance, after your opponent pays a non-keyword ability on an attack, you cancel its effect. So I think he is looking at that, because at that point, that's 100% the thing you cancel. You cancel that speed, you make this now actually blockable again. Because at this point, at the end of the day, Adam has enough bad checks in the deck that those attacks are all 5 diffs. It's not getting any easier. so like this is the whole plan. You weather this storm. You just, if you can get rid of that first form and weather it out, it's a pretty aggressive way of kind of shutting out the turn, potentially having a decent swing back maybe. Here we go. Because there is options. I think he's looking at if he lost, so he goes, I think that was the stun happening there. Yeah, he's gone for the stun 2 now. So, yep, fair enough. Get the stuff out the way, because I think, yeah, get stuff out the way that's committable, that's playable or committed. That one, yeah, that one's not really doing a grand amount, because at the end of the day he has to discard a card for it. So, yeah, he's got fair enough picks there. Still has a couple of wee pieces out and ready to go. Still has... so he did flip, and for the life of me I can't remember what that now does. I think it did something to his check. So Adam discarded, it was 3 missile launchers, so it was 3 missile launchers and 2 Vicious Madnesses, I think's what his hand is. So he discards a missile launcher to ready up Azure Nightmare. So obviously this will be interesting now, because this is really comes down to, can Adam really put out the extra? I mean, oh, it's rough. So the real thing is, it's obviously he's got 2 attacks that can't be partially blocked. Oh, there's a prepare to fight. So he's going to partially block this on a 5. Does check a 3, which is kind of rough. On a 4, sorry. So he checks a 3, commits 1, and that's going to now do no damage. So obviously the response is, if it's partially blocking attack with this, it deals 0 damage. So the thing with this is, obviously that prepare to fight is the perfect time to play this now, because he now knows it's just Vicious Madness left, and they can, I think, yeah, because basically it's like wasting a mid block on a kind of throw kind of thing, when you can definitely use it on that, deal no damage. Couple of options, so definitely a decent play. Still has 1 card that he can block in hand. So realistically, he shouldn't be able to die to the rest of these attacks. Adam has enough foundations out where a bad check or 2 might still be okay. But I think he's ending it there. I think so. Yeah, think he's passing his turn. We'll find out in a second if he moves that. Yeah. So he passed turn. So obviously knows he can't. Knows he couldn't kill. Vicious Madness, I think, has a mid block, if I remember rightfully. So this comes down to what can Sam get. Let's see. So he had a mid block. So I mean, yeah, pretty awesome set of cards in defence of that first form. So here we go. So getting the draw back up, and this isn't about getting a stellar kill turn. This is just about potentially putting in some extra chip damage. And then at the same time as well, literally just being able to like weather the next storm of knowing that there's 2 more throws. That if he doesn't block them as they are, kind of thing would be lethal. Obviously being 8 damage apiece. So here we go, let's see what's going to happen. Because he definitely has enough pieces out right now where he can do a lot of stuff. A lot of the threats are out the way as well. And the first form on Inferno is a once per game, so that's the kind of thing. It's like one of those kind of one of those forms, I should say, that when you play it, you really have to play into it. Oh, there's a ghostly funeral. Oh, here we go. And I think he still has, yep, he's got a momentum still, I think. So, ghostly funeral, discard 1 momentum. If it's not blocked, your opponent loses 3 vitality, and you draw 3 cards. And then a 4 check if your opponent's at desperation, they destroy 1 foundation. So he's not going to get that anytime soon now, but this could still potentially be 9 damage off itself. So this is interesting. This is going to be pretty aggressive. So here we go. Let's see what's going to happen. Let's see. So I think he's going for the check on M.Bison. Does fail it. And removes a missile launcher. Man, that's pretty decent. As I say, this is what I'm kind of looking at, thinking, I wonder if this guy could be that kind of... I wonder if it's consistent enough, maybe, for being that kind of like mild character. Like, I wonder if you just play a lot of bad checks. So every time you make a check, you're really just clearing out their bin early. It's probably a horrific idea. Definitely not making a deck video on that one anytime soon. So here we go. So Sam obviously is going for the discard and the momentum. Obviously, if Adam doesn't block this attack, he'll lose 3 extra vitality, and Sam will be allowed to drop the 3 cards. So here we go. And it's not even just drop the 3 cards; it just does draw 3. So here we go. Interesting play. So obviously, that's just simply down to the fact this is going to be a heavy amount of chunk damage coming in, potentially doing 9 damage, would put Adam to 20 if he doesn't block this. That in its own right would open this up to a lot more extra plays. Obviously, we're looking at things like losing 2. If your opponent plays that, cancel it and destroy it. If your opponent completely blocks your attack, they lose 1. So, here we go. Right, okay, so Adam went to use Guardian of the Spirit Sword, and then, sorry, this one. He then in response commits, loses 2, and then he cancelled it and destroys it. So here we go. This could be pretty aggressive going. So here we go. Let's see what's going to happen. Really comes down to what now also Sam has in hand as well. That's the big thing. As I say, this will be very interesting. Because, as I say, like, there's enough big attacks out in this game so far that if you hit with enough of them, I mean, you can put people, like big Goro characters that are still not that scary in the game right now. Some of these attacks go absolutely mental crazy. So he is going in for the block. It's a 3, it's a low block, it's for Vicious Madness as well. That's rough. And yeah, I did have to check a lot to pass. So obviously needed a 9 check, it's a 5. 6, 7, 8, 9. Brutal stuff. So he does block it. So he does he does get a bit of partial damage hitting him in the form of 3. But because he did block it, he doesn't take that 3 extra vitality. Which is a bit of a saving grace. So we now know he has a 3 low block. So he isn't going to be able to block this. So Sam really could put some extra kind of oomph on this attack. Like freeze one of your opponent's committed foundations. Boom. That's you officially freezing out things like Azure Nightmare, for instance. Easy enough. There's not really much in the way of aggressive temperament or Folktale doing a lot. So yeah, that's an easy pick really, for sure. But he is going for the Folktale, which is fair enough as well because you can choose 1 card and shuffle it back in. So yeah, there is options, especially when he's got he's got 21. There's a couple of options. We'll see what he goes for. I think that's what you think he's potentially signaling, is he? I wonder if he's changing his mind, but we'll see what else he does. So he is checking a card, and he'll ready up M.Bison after he fails it, obviously. So here we go. It does do another check this time. I think Adam loses a vitality. I love that. That enhance is actually pretty funny. I like that one. Just a wee bit of chip damage at its finest on a 6 check. And he definitely plays enough 6s where you'll definitely see that a few times. So here we go. Plenty of other stuff for him to do. Obviously the other things on Ashen Claw, if I said the name wrong the first time. Gauge 4, decent enough. Obviously does the freeze. He's picked the Folktale. Has a deadlock that he's not going to be able to access right now, but there is other stuff. Like, let's see, this one, destroy. Opponent adds one asset from the stage to momentum. So yeah, there's a couple of interesting. I'm just wondering if there's anything really drastic you can use right now. I think a lot of it's defensive so far anyway. So it is only 3 high for 4, but Adam is going to have to take the 4, but as we know he has a low block, and that is a high attack. So, interesting. Here we go. It just really comes down. I wonder what else now Sam's got. So he is getting the gauge off, obviously. So he does stack yet again another M.Bison. I'm just trying to remember if there's any really character-dependent attacks in this deck now. I'm wondering if we see anything decent. So that was a takedown, I think. But he isn't going for that just yet, I think. So here we go. I wonder. This is getting super interesting now. Obviously, Sam at 14 health, Adam at 21. It is going for the takedown. So takedown is Desperation 3, Fury Kick, too low for 4. So this is blockable. But it is, if this attack is not blocked, you discard cards from the top of your deck until you discard an attack card, and you add the discarded attack to your hand. So this attack in itself, again, you could pump the damage by like 2, I think, from things like the 7 Outworld. So you can do stuff like that. At the same time as well, if he completely blocks it, he's got some checks. So he fails the check, so I mean, he could have the top card of Adam's discard pile getting removed and stuff like that. So there is some wee things, just depends what specifically he's going for. Because especially with that response really does make him when you think about it, because you do that response all the time basically, like so efficiently. There is a 6 though, so I wonder, so he does lose a life, so he's now down to 20. So if this attack does hit, but this is the interesting thing, it really comes down to, can Adam afford to hit, like to use that one block, knowing there's still 3 cards in hand. Obviously at the end of the day, if he doesn't block it though, it's going to find an attack regardless. Like, so couple of things. I mean, he really can't do much. Yeah, like lose 2. If he could do that one, I guess. Yeah, so he's got an easy response that he can do. So here we go. This is interesting. This is a super bait out play for sure, especially with 3 cards left in hand. So he is taking the 4, and now we know he's going to get another attack, and the attack he finds is another takedown. Awesome stuff. So he is going to get a takedown added to hand. And at the end of the day, I mean, that takedown on a 4. Do you know what I mean? Like, M.Bison 27. Nice. He's not in desperation just yet, but on a 4, 5, 6, 7, still playable. Definitely play 6s. Could definitely do that. Wee bit extra chip damage. Let's see what he goes for. Again, he might have other attacks as well, but he is going for the throwdown easily enough. He does check a 5. Commits M.Bison, obviously, and then commits for recovering the lost treasure. Simply down to the fact that that card requires discard at this point, and it's not super beneficial to him just yet, for sure. So, well, maybe he's changing it up. So here we go. Oh, so he readied it up with Archon Nirvana. Then he fails a check, readies up M.Bison. That's awesome. Oh, you can go in for some stellar turns with this guy. Oh, I'm definitely going to have to actually look at this now, for sure. So, here we go. Obviously, he's got... I think the only real thing he's got is, like, serving the Outworld, really, is the only kind of thing, on top of then, obviously, having takedowns, actually, a thing. He is making the check. And then what he did there was he passes it by committing, make it a 6 check. It makes Acton lose another life. He's doing takedowns actual effect. Oh my god, the turns you could go in with this, man. This is mental. This is cool because again, that takedown found a takedown, so there's still 3 cards unknown in hand right now. Would be crazy and possibly really funny if he had another takedown. But again, we also know Adam has a 3 low block. Now, the thing is, that 3 low block needs a 5, so he can still pass it if he checks a 5 kind of thing, because obviously it'd be like a 5, 6 in total with no other speeds involved, and he still has 1 foundation up. So he can still block it, but again, this is still getting in for 4 damage potentially, potentially finding a lethal attack. So let's see. So he is discarding the card, so he's doing the effect. Thank God he discarded the same card. Obviously, you flip and discard one card, shuffle one card from your discard pile into your deck. Your next check to play a card that's +2. So he is putting a Moon Ritual down. Oh, Moon Ritual down. Yeah, why didn't we think of that? Well, why didn't I think of that? Entirely me. Yeah, so yep, he has a card that very much requires him having more characters. So for sure. Right, okay. Yeah, totally. I can see why there's multiple stuff to be stacking. So here we go. So he is going to get +2 to the next check anyway. He has shuffled an attack back in, and obviously it's just down. And he does take the hit, and now the shuffle. Now he's going to discard until he finds an attack. Hopefully he finds the Moon Ritual Dance. So boom, that's pretty stellar. So this attack, right, is on a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 with +2 to that. Do you know what I mean? Making it a 6 basically. It'll need to pass on. It's not good desperation or anything, which would be crazy, but at the end of the day, he checks a 5, so he needs to commit 1 for it. And that is cool as. So obviously, yeah, you commit M.Bison, obvious. Yep, because that guy just basically readies himself up for free. He has a free 1 check every turn. That's so awesome. So Moon Ritual Dance, add 1 card with a printed difficulty of X or less from your discard pile to your hand, card pool or staging area that you can normally play. X equals the number of characters in your staging area. So I wonder how many he's got. What's that, 3, 4 now currently? So he could definitely find like a 4 diff, for instance. Okay, definitely, yeah. That's why he wants to like be stacking these characters. And this is like a 7 low, so this is completely unblockable. So I think what's actually happened here as well is Adam has flipped, obviously, the I forgot the foundation now. It's for Chivalry and Honours, what I was going to say anyway. It's the new one, the Inferno version, the better version, because it's got a block and a better check. That said, I mean, could Sam have responded, lose 2 after your opponent plays an ability on a non-character card in the staging area, cancel it? He could have done that potentially. But then, at the same time as well, how much is this going to get extra? I would have got. No, I don't think he's got momentum to give it extra damage. It's to draw a card, I guess. Okay, so interesting stuff. It's 7 low for 2. It's kind of like, this will be very interesting to see what he does. Again, this is going to possibly get the gauge off, because Adam really can't block this in general. He's going to generate quite a bit of momentum, for sure. He still has things like Archon Nirvana ready to go. I'm pretty sure he's not used that ready ability yet, if there was anything needed for it. But at this point, it would just be down to like making checks, readying up his M.Bison, potentially, depending on what those 2 other cards are in hand. I wouldn't be kind of scared to think they are going to be other attacks. If not, they're going to be absolute awesome defensive pieces somehow, because this is just a pure play and a half. So let's see what they're looking for. So they're looking for something. Not entirely sure just what yet. So here we go. I don't know if a card's been put somewhere by mistake. We'll wonder myself now. Let's see what else could be done. So alright, okay, so he's using obviously Moon Ritual Dance. So as I say, it's add 1 card with a printed difficulty X or less from your discard pile to your hand, card pool or staging area. Again, it's one of those cool things. Again, that's actually pretty decent in itself, getting another one of them out. Just for the extra checks at the end of the day. These extra checks are pretty decent. Simply down to the fact that at the end of the day, it's like, you fail them, you get a couple more options to readying up M.Bison, obviously, as well. Just in case, because obviously sometimes they can also pass. He plays enough 6 checks, so I can see the idea on that. Give extra damage out on 6 checks, so here we go. Obviously that check fails, he readies up M.Bison. So plenty of stuff happening, Again, it's still a 7 low 2. Potentially just puts Adam down to 9 unless he does anything else. But he definitely has, obviously, some servants that could give it extra damage. We know it's not going to be blocked. So he checks a 5. I think he's going to make that 6, potentially. Or is he removing? So the thing on that one is after you fail, you can ready it up or remove. So he's letting it fail. I was wondering if he was going to pass that. So he's doing another one. And this time he is passing. And then he's making Adam lose a life. Nice. Puts Adam down to 10. So this attack might hit, put him down to 8. This is super close. I'm so interested to see what those two attacks, or not attacks, those two cards he's holding, if any are an attack. It'd be very interesting to see how this works out. As he's looking over at this one, if it's completely blocked, they'll lose 1 as well. But at this point, that's just... But it's also just in case he did pull something. But I think at this point, Adam pretty much can't block this anyway. Because 7 low, we've been needing another 11, which is pretty much impossible. He does take the 2. So here we go. And then the gauge is going to trigger. So at this point, super effective, pretty much. Like, because now he's at 3, 4, 5. He now effectively can pick up like Ghost Thieves if he finds another Moon Ritual, for instance. So there's a couple of options for sure. Here we go. Let's see what happens. Definitely a good couple of 2 checks. Definitely seeing a good couple of 2 checks in both decks. So here we go. What else has he got? Can he go in for that lethal hit? Because at this point he could do potentially 4 extra damage on an attack, do you know, that way. So with the servants, so the options are the options really are there, I guess. It just obviously comes down to what's in this hand. What's the last 2 cards? I'm interested. See what he's going to do. Very interesting plays from Sam. This is pretty awesome. Not seen a far strung out attack string for a while, so it's cool to see this on the board again. So I mean, if he passes, he still has 2 in hand, still has what, 3, 4 foundations up, with pretty much an always ready character for once. Like the options are definitely there for sure. So let's see what he goes for. Because at this point now, it's like if you're adding 5 to a check, it's getting a bit rough now on some or even on most attacks. So he is passing turn. So yeah, because at this point, adding 5 to a check's mental. He is going to generate some momentum. 2, 3 momentum. Yep, generating the first 3. So he has 3 momentum, so he's going to get some options. So we know Adam has a Vicious Madness kicking about in hand. And that card is frozen. Yeah, so he's taking away the total, draws back up to 5. So we know he has 1 attack. Now it's the kind of, does he find the other attacks? Again, that thing is still 4 mid for 8. He finds a missile launcher though. So here we go. This will be interesting. Does check a 3 on it, has to commit 2 for it. That's pretty rough going. That's pretty effectively going to stall a turn. He's going to have an Azure Nightmare ready. But yeah, he definitely can't afford to see those checks. So he is. Oh, look at those. He could have seen 2 more. So he discards 3 with Inferno. And it's going to give this some extra damage. So here we go. That's brutal, isn't it? Brutal stuff. So he does get an extra damage. Let's see what's happening here. Sam commits. New shipmate gives it -2. I'll be very interested now to see what's going to happen here. He loses 2. He loses 2 to the damage, and he also gained a life. Just so you know, so Sam's back to 15. Then he gets an extra bit of damage itself. Here we go. So let's see. So yeah. Let's see what else there is he can do. See, here's the cool thing, right? Sam could still... I mean, it's a risky play now to commit and lose to like blow up Azure Nightmare, for instance. But let's see. So this is now what, 8, 7 low. See, this is getting interesting. So I think that is cancelling the stun. Goes for a wee cheeky check. Lets it fail and he's just removing a card. Adam's got 9, so he is going. He's dropping a bit of. He's going for the EX2. So interesting stuff. Yeah, that's quite interesting. So now it's quite risky because now it's going to be. It's now at 11. He is just taking the hit though. That could potentially have sealed his fate. As a Vicious Madness is what's coming in now. Yeah, that's pretty rough. What one's that again? So here we go. Yeah, so that's quite rough. So he goes and checks a couple of cards. He's going to give this extra damage. Now, this also just depends what Sam's got. Like he might have in the Omni block. There might be something kicking about. He's going for an extra 6 damage. So it just really comes down to what he's got. Sam is, though, committing. He's going to discard, gain 2 and draw 1. So, right, cool. Right, here we go. So, he's going to gain 2, put him back to 6. He's going to draw a card, which could give him an out. And then, at the same time as well, he has options now to potentially minus and 1 on each of that. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That would still put it to 6. I don't really know what options he's got right now. For sure, this will be interesting. So he is just failing the check, taking a card off of Adam. Fails the check, he's going to take a card off of Adam. But I think this is close. As I say, I can't even tell what's in his hand right now. But can't be partially blocked, so it'll have to be I think this is a tough one. So he's got a Dispelling Horn, but as I say, I think this still on the throw. Should still be game. Could be wrong unless I miss something, but I'm pretty sure that'll still do the partial. Yeah, he is on 6, so it's currently at 8, 9, 10, 11, 14. And then he takes 6. Yep, right, okay, yeah, we didn't miss it. Awesome. Right, okay, so game 1 still went to Inferno. That was pretty rough. I don't really know what you could have done differently there, to be honest. That was just... I think the finding that other missile launcher, I think, was a pretty rough one. Obviously, missile launcher just obviously is a pretty beast of a card. It's kind of tough to stop it when it goes off, because obviously he had to cancel the stun. Yeah, not much you can do. It's a really tough one to find. That said, though, Sam 100% was gauging off pretty effectively. An extra turn would have probably seen him in good standings. Again, super close though. I mean, that was Adam down to like 6, I think, by the end of that as well. So it's not as if he was far off, just a hit back. So it's all to play for at the end of the day, for sure. Don't really know what else you could have done. I could have thought about doing differently depending on what was in his hand, but that missile launcher was just a bit pure. Here we go. We'll have to see what happens now. So they are setting up for game 2. We'll find out who is going first. Probably Sam. Yep, Sam is going to elect to go first. So here we go. Let's see what is going to happen. Right, here we go. So both drawing back up. 6 for Sam, 5 for Adam. Let's see, are they both going to keep? I think they might. I think Adam is mulligan. Both mulligan. Fair enough. Yeah, 100%. You definitely have to find the right attack, like the right foundations to start the game. I think in some of these cases. So here we go. We'll see what happens though. Let's see. So Sam is, as I say, going first. So here is M.Bison's actual Psycho Energy. So it's got an Enhanced Destroy. Destroy one of your opponent's foundations. That is a copy of the top card of their discard pile. So that's a cool card that I've seen. And I've just not been able to figure out where to put it into yet. It's got a response to the 5 check. After your opponent plays an Enhance ability, discard the top card of their deck. So, awesome stuff there. Gets obviously a Conquest of Terror out as well. So, possibly a bit of a rough mulligan maybe. Probably more than likely holding the actions and attacks, so that's pretty rough. So Adam is going to, I think he reviewed and then drew. Yep. So here we go. Starting off with the Dark Side of Karma into a Guardian of the Soul Sword. I always say that wrong, don't I? Spirit Sword. Into an Azure Nightmare and then a Wishing Ward. Fair enough. So definitely gets the better play out of the two on initial drop of Foundations, but if he doesn't see attacks as of now, it's now going to be a bit rougher for him. He might have to just try and build up to it, especially knowing how many 2-checks he might be seeing. So 2-checks, even the 3-checks, I think mess him up definitely as well, just down to the fact it's all 5 diffs mostly, I think, isn't it? Bar 1 or 2, so it's a kind of rough. It's still rough regardless. Definitely needs the Foundation lineup. So Sam is going in for a Moon Ritual Dance, does check a 3 and commits M.Bison for it. So he is all good. So here we go. So obviously this is for the easy gauge 2. It's still 7 low, so it's still an actual annoying card to block. It is able to add up a 1 diff or a 0 diff and bring it, as I say, you're able to bring it to your discard pile to hand, card pool or stage, yeah, so it's that you can normal play. So it's awesome stuff. Like, we've definitely seen a few people playing this card in recent events, down to even like Scott using it in Andy, for instance. So this one he brings in is after this card's discard for the card pool, and it's your Fury attacks at +1 speed. So awesome stuff. So I mean, there we go. I mean, that's an easy speed on it from finding just a random card that he's checked currently. Obviously, it's going to get the gauge. It's now at 8 low. It's pretty much not getting blocked, but at the same time as well, if it doesn't get blocked, the gauge is going to pop early. So this gives you a lot of options. The response on the 5-check and stuff like that. So, because obviously he can't do that just yet, the top ability to destroy one of his opponent's things, but he might be able to find it. On saying that though, the Dark Side of Karma is kicking about, non-weapon, I believe it's not weapon, so yep, it's kind of, at least, depending on what he was affecting, for instance, I mean he still has options outs and stuff. So here we go, we'll see what else there is though. So here we go. So he still has a Conquest of Terror, and then obviously he's used that for the +1 speed, or from the other one, I don't know what it's called, Grand Larcenist. So cool. Still a Conquest of Terror, but that's just for minus speed really for the most part. So I think he's pretty much done most of the things he's going to be able to do. And he is taking the 2, the gauge is now going to trigger. So easy enough stuff. So obviously he's going to get that M.Bison 1 dot out and begin that process. Again, especially because that card's actually really useful. It's definitely a decent enough stackable character with these things. Simply down to that fact of being able to, after your opponent plays an ability on a non-character card in the stage now, you cancel and destroy it. Decent enough for a commit character to lose to on a character that basically can ready up. He is now playing a Dispelling Horn on a 5. And he checks checks a 5 and he's all good. So Dispelling Horn gains another gauge 4 coming out, which again, depending on what Adam's got in hand, might have to take the hit. If he's got more characters though, it's going to get more speed, which it is. So it's one of those ones that at the end of the day, Adam then goes and does the discard the top 3 for his enhance for no effect. But again, now 4 speed. So he does ready up M.Bison after he fails a check. But that's pretty rough going now, because I mean this is another one. You're pretty much not really blocking this one at this point unless you're going right out the way. Does go to make a check and he fails it, so has Adam remove the top card. So here we go, interesting stuff. So here we go. And then gives it another speed from Grand Larcenist, because it is Fury as well. Is it Fury? I might have missed that. Did I miss him? How did I get that speed? Possibly a misplay, not too sure just yet. I might have missed something. Don't know how you got the extra one though, because it's not a Fury. Actually double checking there. Nah, it's definitely not Fury. That's fine. So here we go. We'll see what's going to happen. So here we go. So I mean still, so I think the couple of wee connection blips there for the two guys should be alright otherwise. And he does take the hit of 4. So at the end of the day, taking that hit allows the next set of gauges to happen. So here we go, let's see what's going to happen. So I don't know if he missed the gauge or if he did it or not, I'm not entirely sure. He might not even have done it, but he is now playing into Serving of the Outworld. So here comes obviously the extra pieces. This is the thing though. The extra bits. I'll just double check he didn't stat. Nah, he didn't. So he does build an extra foundation, gets 2 momentum basically. Pretty easy enough. So easy enough, wee bit of chip damage coming through, bringing down that life total of Inferno down to 29 to 27. So there's a dark Cheerito. Dank Cheerios. So that's interesting. I actually didn't see that the first time. So boom, must only be playing maybe 2 of them, probably. So needing a 6, checks a 5. So here we go. Let's see how this plays out now. This will be interesting. So we definitely didn't see this. Hasn't got the momentum for it. But it being in the pool, your opponent can't play abilities that could reduce the damage of your attacks or cause cards to leave your card pool. So wee bit of options there, wee bit of balance out there, but not really anything directly Sam has to like fix that out. So goes for the check. So let's see. So what happened there? I think he oh right, okay. I'm assuming he discarded that. I think. Not entirely sure what happened there, to be quite honest. Sometimes like random stuff happens. Like sometimes it looks stuff like that. The hands and the arrows are going all over the place. Sometimes it is a wee bit tougher to keep up. So here we go. Let's see what's going to happen. I think I'm wondering if that caused him to discard. I don't think it did. 'Cause he's still on 3. Nah, don't know. Oh, he did that one for the damage. That's what it was. Ah, right. Did it for the damage. Totally found that one late. Did the Inferno obviously for the damage for the 6. But again, I think that is pretty partially blocking it, I guess. So he does check a 3. Does need to commit 2 for it. Brutal. That's pretty rough. That's pretty rough. So he is going to take like 6 though. So that in itself puts him down to 21. Pretty rough spot. And there's a missile launcher. Oh, that's pretty rough. So this is the thing. So he does check well enough to commit to some stuff for it. Obviously needs a 6, checks a 5, commits 1. Commits the Dark Side of Karma as it's playable well committed. And obviously at this point he's got a stun 2 ability that can kick off. And then he can go a bit mental, I guess. So here we go. Let's see what's going to happen. So he discards top 3. He's going to remove a card from his discard pile. So I'm wondering... Oh, was it discard 4 there? No, it definitely did it. So he's going to give it 5 damage. Or is that... Right, so I think that one's actually for Sam's effect. Ah, right, okay. Yeah, so they kind of like... They jumped the gun a wee bit on each other. Right, that's fine. So, the Wishing Ward was discarded from Adam's effect on Inferno for 5 damage, and the Guardian was Sam's failed check, causing the top card of the discard pile to go. Right, okay. Here we go. So here we go. So going in for another check, and he is going to also then remove that. So I mean, here's the thing: couple of checks that you can trigger off, and there goes the stun. And then he discards the top 4, and you're probably going damage at this point. I would have guessed, unless there's a cancel ability, but I think he's going speed. I wonder. I'd probably go damage at this point, but he is going speed, so he is just wanting this to hit. Basically, that's fine. Because I guess it is only 3 low. So here we go. Just making sure that he's going to do 11 damage. And he does hit. I think, did he hit for 11? Yeah, hits for 11. Goes down to 10. Yep. Here comes a Shiarukan. So this card on a 4, 5, 6 checks a 5, commits 1 for it, and he's all good. So this has got a combo in hand. Add 1 card from your discard pile to the top of your deck. This attack gets +3 speed or +3 damage. So adds Inferno's actual foundation, the For Chivalry and Honor card. Again, at some point I actually need to remember that thing's name. So he does get 3 damage on this one. So it is now at like what, 6 damage, 4 high 6. Easy enough. There's no real way of negating the damage because obviously Dank Cheerios is kicking about. But he is going. He's either going for a seal, or this is the block. I think that's the seal. Let's find out. Yeah, so he's sealing Inferno. Fair enough. Possibly a bit late in the game. Depends what Adam's got the last 2 cards. Even then, to be honest, the last 2 cards, and there's not really much in the way of a passable check. He's got a high block with the Ghost Thief Funeral. So here we go. But I think he's going to take. I think he's taking the hit. Yeah, takes the 6, goes down to 4. So this will come down to. I mean, Adam, what's that? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Nah, I was going to say I don't think he can pass the checks really anyway. At this point, only with 2 up, so pretty easy going. So at this point though, Sam's definitely on the back burner for sure. So he's looking at. So let's see. So I think everything basically did damage, but he has obviously thrown everything away. That's an interesting choice to throw a lot away. I would have possibly have built some momentum maybe to force Sam to have picked other attacks, or to have left himself with the Cheerios being kind of the only options. But we'll see. Let's see. So Sam, as I say, is definitely on the back burner at this point. It's kind of rough going. Inferno still at 29 health, played by Adam, and Sam down at 4 health as M.Bison from the Street Fighter DLC. So he has got a Ghost Thief, as we know. So here we go. Needs a 5, checks a 5. So again, this attack in itself, again, he's going to be able to do the discard a momentum to make sure Adam has to block it. Again, if Adam can't block it and he's only got 1 card in hand, this is kind of rough. It does say it's pretty much allowing Sam to potentially do 9 damage from itself, and then give him the draw of 3 cards. So at the same time as well, this can definitely be something. This could pull it back for Sam. Adam without any cards in hand really has some effects cancelable in the form of, like, he's got 1 Dark Side of Karma. He can drop that at some point, but again, that thing being a weapon, he can't use it on that. Has to be a non-weapon card. So I wonder. I mean, he could still return the thing to printed speed, but I don't think that's going to be the real issue at this point. So he's going to go for a bunch of checks. He just fails that check. So failing that check, there goes. I mean, it fails that check. Yeah, there goes that Dank Cheerios. That's pretty tough, because he's going to be able to pretty much. Oh, there we go. So Adam does obviously try and save himself a bit by putting 3 cards in the way of Missile Launcher. He checks again. So let's see what else happens. After your opponent plays in a hand spell to discard top card of the deck, that's what that was there on the 5 check which passed. That's fair enough. So let's see what else he can do. I think he's done a lot at this point. Yeah, it's pretty tough going. I think he's done basically everything he could do to try and trigger off the effects for the fail to allow him to remove that attack. But again, this is still pretty solid in its own self. It's a 7 mid for currently 6. If he gets the attack through, doing a 3 damage and draw 3 cards. So yeah, he does have another check. So let's see. So he does. I think he's removing the Shiairu can. Yeah, that's easy enough. Easy enough. I mean, this is the cool thing. If you can hit those attacks as efficiently as he is doing so far in these games, you actually could potentially ease up what attacks you could even end up giving Adam in response. Adam's still got like 22, 25 in discard, so let's see what's going to happen. Let's see. So I think they're talking through, I think they're making sure they've done everything. As far as I'm aware, I think they've done everything, or at least they've done everything they can so far. So other checks still to be done. Oh, you could still obviously, I guess, do the Ghost Thief check for no effect. Aha. So goes in for the block. Had a 1 high block. 6, 7, 8, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so he does actually pass it. Takes the half damage again. That's a decent save. There comes the next Ghost Thief funeral though. So here we go. Aye, so this is definitely, you could tell where this attack run was going. So he discards the momentum. At this point now though, Adam is going to take a heavy hit, I think, at this point. Yeah, this will be tough. He has obviously one out in the form of cancelling something if it's not a weapon. But it's really, you might have to wait for that one for the right opportunity at the end of the day. This is still probably going to do 9 damage. Potentially a bit more if he checks well. Yeah, he does fail, so he is just going to start pulling cards away. While I see that card, it is called, it's Hellfire of Despair. Ah, there we go. Would not have remembered that for the life of me, but at least we've seen it. For the few times that I kept forgetting what it was called. As I say, it is literally, so he gets these Grand Larcenist for the extra speed. As I say, that attack is just for Chivalry and Honour, but with a block and a better check. That is literally that's that foundation in a nutshell. Love it to bits. Honestly, it's my favourite foundation. And Adam takes the hit. So he takes the 6 and then has to take the additional 3, and then Sam draws 3 cards. That gives you some options. This is where it could get rough. If Adam can just potentially weather the storm, maybe. But I mean, still Sam fully ready, foundation lineup ready to go. Potentially has more attacks in hand, ready to swing in mental. Obviously, Dark Side of Karma can cancel a non-weapon ability, but that at the same time as well might save Adam at the same time as well, but it would then also take away a card from his lineup. That is also equally rough for him, especially if he ends up checking 2s. So it's a real tough play at this point for sure. Like you definitely can't overly use it. Right, here we go. So he's going in for KO Ashen Claw. So again, he's not going to be able to cancel any of this stuff. So he's going to be able to freeze one of your opponent's committed foundations. So again, being able to freeze one of them's pretty useful in the form of maybe hitting like a Wishing Ward or a Dark Side of Karma or the Guardians. Probably less the Azure Nightmare, as he could potentially just ready them up through its ability. But he's not going to get the Deadlock key off. So let's see what he goes for. If I was picking, it's kind of rough. I think I would take out the Guardian, I guess. Probably is the best option, since none of it's playable well committed. As such, that's probably I'd hit. But let's see what he goes for. I can definitely see him hovering over it, so I feel as if that's what I would do anyway. I think the other ones aren't as useful. So here we go. So obviously he had to pass the check. So he did commit a few things for it. But fair enough, easy going. So yeah, definitely that's the thing to freeze for sure. Right, let's see what's going to happen. Let us see. So I'm wondering what else Adam can really do at this point. Don't think Adam's got a lot of outs directly for this one as such. Let's see. As I say, there's checks that you could. So you check, fail, and he's going to start throwing some cards into that removed from game stage. So now it has 10, so that is in itself picking up quite a bit. So again, he can still do the serve in the Outworld for an extra 2 damage if he passes it. But again, even failing it isn't that horrendous because you're just going to start like peeling off cards from that discard pile. Again, 6 check. That was the 6 check we were forgetting the other time. Was on M.Bison himself to have your opponent lose 1. So he's got like 3 different options for that as such. So here we go. So Adam does take the hit. Takes the 3 from Ashen Claw. Yeah, 4, sorry, from Ashen Claw. So here we go. Let's see what else he's got. Because at this point, Sam drew like 3 extra cards. So I mean, there's no rough. So here we go. Is going in for building extra foundations maybe. Yep, building extra foundations. Again, another gauge that I'm not entirely sure if he done it or not earlier enough. He does have 2 now. Possibly he did do it. Amias and Anis, or Aeus, however it's pronounced. I have probably butchered that one quite effectively. So let's get a first form, shuffle up to 3 cards in your discard pile into your deck. Commit. Your opponent chooses 1 attack in your discard pile. This attack gains all enhances printed on the chosen card. And the deadlock key, discard 1 momentum. Your opponent destroys 3 foundations. So I don't see him getting the deadlock key, but Maius and Aeus, I think that's how it's pronounced, Aias, possibly. Its first form to shuffle some cards in is actually pretty decent. Especially to shuffle in some 6 checks and stuff like that when you're running low. But again, he's on 4. So let's see, is Adam going to pop? He is. So he removes his hand. That was a fair few of those Shiaru cans. So he goes, obviously, removes his hand, and Sam is now going to give him 5 attacks from Adam's discard pile. So here comes the pain. Because I think there wasn't a lot in the way of non-aggressive attacks. There's definitely some missile launchers and stuff like that. There's some rough ones, to say the least. So he's given him a Vicious Madness, a Shiaurukan. He's given him another Vicious Madness. I feel as if there's not a lot of attacks kicking about where this possibly seals his fate maybe. And a Missile Launcher, and then 1 more if there is any. And Vicious Madness, yeah, like that's rough going. Now, that said though, this I mean, it still could play out in Sam's favour. I mean, if Adam checks a 2 on the first one and has to commit 3 things, that's a pretty easy thing to potentially deal with. So obviously there comes the Vicious Madness, which is a throw in itself. I'm just seeing if there's an out here, to be honest. So he does check a 5 and it passes, where I would have see, it just comes down to what Sam's got in hand, if he's got any cheeky outs. I think the obvious things he could potentially do would be cancelling that, where he can actually partial it if that was to do a thing. But so discards them, takes that out and gives it 5 damage. I feel as if this is possibly sealing the fate at this point. Obviously now with some extra damage, what's that, 5, 6, 7 extra damage in total, because obviously the card that got discarded was just the aggressive temper that gave him 2 damage. Then you removed it for 5 damage. Yeah, this is quite rough. That said though, there's a couple of checks that maybe do some stuff. Let's see. I wonder. So he does check. I think he's going to scratch a card off. I mean, if Sam has a way of getting out of this will be amazing as well. Obviously, we don't know what his hand is. A couple of outs could happen. But I feel as if... yeah, it is game, lads. That is game. So that is 2-0 for Inferno.